In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how my client got shredded, built a load of muscle and gained a load of strength in really not that much time at all, like 6 months, okay? Now, beforehand, he was stuck, sort of spinning his wheels, not 100% sure what he was doing with the gym, following some fitness apps, not really sure what he was doing with his nutrition either. Now, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to move over to my computer and basically break down, like no bullshit, the strategy that we use for him, which we use for all our clients, and it will just clear your head of social media noise. And should I try this? Should I try that? Like, no, this is all you need to do. Clarity, simple, but very fucking effective. So let me show you how to get shredded, how to build muscle at the same time so that you can actually feel confident in your body or your life or whatever it is that you want. So let's jump in. Alrighty guys, so this is Rob. Now, Rob is an incredible client. Let me start off by saying that. And this transformation was achieved in 6 months, a little shy of 6 months. But let me make one thing clear. This guy works so fucking hard. Like, he's a trooper. He has a family, a young family. He even had a baby in this process. Okay, a toddler now. Right? And this, I don't know if a toddler is only a few months old. Probably not. I need to brush up on my baby knowledge. But he had a newborn in the middle of this. And he still did it. So first of all, any excuses, leave them at the door, please. We don't want to deal with that. Okay, so if you struggle with kind of consistency, discipline, it's probably not for you. But it works. Okay, so if you can be disciplined with yourself and consistent, this will work. Okay, because this is the example of someone who had every reason to not be consistent and still was. Okay, so no excuses there. Now let me get my pen out and basically show you how we did this for Rob. Why is it green? Don't want a green pen. No, thank you, mate. And that's too slim. Too slim. It's too it's not thick enough. There we go. Okay, that will do. So let's break down how we took Rob from this on the left to this on the right. Okay, his face is blurred because I'm not 100% sure that he's gonna want his face in those photos there. So we're just erring on the side of caution. But this is Rob. Okay, he smashed it. Now, what you need to know is that a lot of guys that we work with come to us and are very, very confused in the sense that they don't know what the best approach for them actually is, because there is so much of one thing, and that is social media noise. That is overwhelmed. That is a million different influencers telling you different things and stepping on each other's feet. I don't know if that's an analogy that works, but essentially contradicting each other. So one person says, hey, you need to do carb cycling, you need to do keto, that's how you're going to lose that bit of fat that won't go, that stubborn fat, right? You need to do that. Let me in on something. Let me in on something. Let me let you in on something. Okay? Don't listen to that. Because here's the truth. When it comes to losing fat, skinny fat too, building muscle, getting in shape, getting better cardio, building strength, there is only a handful of things that you actually need to do. Okay? Everything on social media that is designed to grab your attention and convince you that there's some shortcut or something that you don't know about, which is why it's not worked for you, is exactly why it's not working for you. Think about that. Think how crazy that is. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to understand when we're about to jump into this, is please look at it through that lens. Okay, there's nothing you don't know, but it's the fact that you think that there's something you don't know. And I'm going to lay it out very, very clearly as to how we did this for Rob. And honestly, there's not a lot else to it. Okay, so all of that strategy that you think you know from social media and your favorite influencers told you about with workouts or food, leave it at the door. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Okay, and Rob would tell you the same, even though he started in the position where he was, doing AI workout apps. So let's talk about his before, in fact, because I still remember the call and I have the notes from our call, so I can go into the exact details that Rob told me, because I think it's quite relatable to a lot of you guys. And I started years and years and years ago, but some of this was still relatable to me, even though technology's changed. I was still struggling with the same things. Okay, so Rob was actually consistent with working out prior. These are his before and after photos in more detail, which I will show you. in a second, but let's just move. Actually, fuck it, let's look at them now, just to show you what's possible. Sorry, this is quite chaotic, but this was his before. Okay, so fair bit of back fat, some muscular development. So I think Rob would say he was in that kind of skinny fat boat potentially. Not tons of muscle, but a decent amount of body fat. And now the guy is chopped. Completely diced. He's also way stronger than he was here, and he's built some definite muscle. He's got a Dorito back. You can literally see his back went from kind of the weight on the bottom to the weight on the top. So people are noticing he's in shape. Like, people are commenting all the time. He's got a full six-pack, veins down his arms, tricep there, chest has come out. He's a beast, okay? So that's what's possible. It's pretty alarming what you can do when you actually focus on the right stuff and you don't let all the bullshit online get in your head. Anyway, let's talk about where he was before. So he was actually consistent with working out. But I don't want to say something that isn't verbatim what Rob said, but he was actually working out and I think using an AI workout app. Now, the problem with an AI workout app is a lot of you guys think, oh, well, AI is so good it can tell me exactly how to train. It can give you an idea of what you need to do, but it doesn't know you. It doesn't know who you are. And the thing is, you may think, oh, but I can tell it all the things it needs to know about me. But you probably don't know what it needs to know about you. Does that make sense? Like, you're telling as much as you can tell AI and give it all the information in theory to make you a good workout program. You're probably not experienced enough to know the most important things to tell AI to make you the best workout program. Okay, because AI is only as useful as you are skilled at asking it to do things for you. Okay, and knowing what it needs to know, the key things. And you might not. Plus, it's not a personal trainer. It's just pulling information from who knows where. Okay, so he was consistent. He was using an AI workout app. A lot of people do. I've used them before. Back when I was unqualified years and years ago, and they were just coming out. It's quite normal, okay? Why is it put 1 again? I don't know. And so he was kind of unsure of really what training looked like, you know, doing HIIT classes here and there. So he'd done some HIIT, as a lot of people have, high intensity interval training, which is cool, but unless you have direction with it, it's just, you know, who knows what that does really. Kind of roughly tracking calories, so, you know, cooks with his family, but found it quite complicated essentially to track, complications with tracking family meals, okay? And so quite a lot of confusion with that. And then in terms of not really knowing kind of how to weigh himself and track progress, so really quite a few areas of not 100% knowing what he's doing, okay? And the thing is, when you don't know what you're doing, it's hard to be consistent because you're kind of thinking, I don't even know if this is right, okay? And he still was consistent because he's got, you know, an incredible mindset, but it doesn't feel good when you're not seeing the results. And he wasn't. He felt stuck, okay? So he felt stuck, was actually going to a lot of gym sessions a week, probably more than he needed to, doing just more exercise than he needed to, the HIIT classes, and just kind of felt like he was stabbing in the dark because he was putting in the effort, was putting in the work, but he just ended up with this body, right? Which isn't what you want. And that's because, okay, and this is key, all of this stuff is overwhelming, but this happens because you're fed information online that makes you believe that there are all of these complicated components that you have to do or try to see a transformation like this. And do you want to know the truth? This only happened because we stripped things back. We stripped things back to the basics, because guess what? And I'm going to write it because it's important. I don't give a fuck. This is really key. The basics plus time plus consistency. That's it. That's it. And every time that will be better than, I hope that's the right sign for that, anything online that claims to be a quick fix or a better way, okay? So look, that's the situation Rob was in before, and that is the kind of principle that underlines why he was kind of not where he wanted to be, okay, with a bit of fat, feeling stuck, etc. So here's what we actually did. Now this is the fun part, okay? So that gives you a bit of perspective on what we did. Now, when Rob came to me, he really wanted like upper body muscle, okay, to kind of fill out a t-shirt. He still felt a bit on the slim side as well as having a bit of body fat. He's in his 40s, doesn't look it. You're welcome, Rob. But he didn't want to continue to get a bit older and then have problems down the line, so he really wanted to lock in his fitness. I mean, this guy's running like no one's business now. Very, very fit and great cardio now too. Didn't want to be a bodybuilder, just wanted that athletic, lean look, and that's what he's got. He feels confident, he feels very disciplined in himself now, and I'm going to run you through how we did it. So, what we did, okay? What we did. So, when you have body fat that is over, let's say 12%, so I actually have a graphic for this, so I'm going to pause it and I'm going to grab that graphic. So I actually couldn't find the specific graphic I was looking for. However, it does lead quite nicely into this, okay? And this is the overview of our phases. So going back to what we did, essentially the first thing that we did is put Rob in a reset phase, okay? And really the entirety of his transformation took place in the reset phase. So we did a reset phase. Why did we do a reset phase? Because his body fat was over 12%. That's the only deciding factor, okay? So looking at the phases overview that we do with our coaching clients, this is 20% body fat. I wonder if I can zoom in. So this is 20% body fat. So looking at Rob, Rob was probably, it was probably about 20% body fat. And when you're 20% body fat, you most definitely need to do a reset phase. There's no debate. Okay, and if you're anything above 12, you should do it. Okay, you may think, oh, well, maybe I should try and bulk. I should try and bulk up. No, Get rid of the fat. Really, really crucial, because if you don't, the fat will slowly start to come back no matter how careful you are. And then it will get to a point where you feel too fat and uncomfortable and you just end up dropping your food back down because you feel too fat and you lose the muscle and you yo-yo back and forth. So that's why we started Rob in a reset phase. Now, your next question is going to be, Sam, what the fuck is a reset phase? And if you've come from my social media, you might have heard me yapping on about it before. I'm going to tell you right now what it is. So, instead of writing it, I actually explain it pretty nicely here. So, the reset phase is a first phase that we do, and I do when I do it as well, to shred away skinny fat. So in this case where, you know, you're not just obese per se, but you've kind of got low muscle mass. You're not too fat, like dangerously fat, but you're kind of slim. You've just got a bit of a belly, okay, a bit of a gut going on, a bit like Rob, and a bit like this was actually me, okay, before I discovered all of this. So it's the kind of thing where people look at you and you think, yeah, you could lose some fat, but you're not obese. You don't need to lose the fat, but you want to get rid of it, right? This is not a good place to be. So the goal is to essentially reset your body fat percentage. So if this is 20%, this is kind of what 15 looks like, and this is 10%, which is shredded, okay? Now, the reason that we do this is because you want to build muscle, probably. It's probably part of it, okay? But there's no point trying to build muscle if you have really any level of fat over 12% on your body, because, like I said, if you do, the fat will come up too. So you need to do a reset to lose the fat first. Now, I know a lot of people have said to me before, Sam, isn't that just a cut? Like, how is that not just a cut? Okay? And it's not a cut. And you want to know why? Because here's what a cut does. So, where's my pen? I just had a pen. Where is it? Okay. So let's say if you don't know anything about calories, don't worry, because you're not going to need to, but I'll try and keep it really, really simple. So essentially, if you imagine that is your maintenance calories. So if you eat this amount of food, everyone has this level, you won't gain or lose any weight. Nothing will change, okay? Fat people are fat because they unintentionally eat more than they need. So your body stores all this extra energy as body fat because it doesn't need it. So where does it go? It's got to be stored as fat, right? It's like if you're building a house, you order too many bricks, you didn't need all of them, they just sit in a pile. Same thing. So that would be called a surplus, okay? That's a weird S. So that's a calorie surplus, all right? And that is what happens when you gain skinny fat, because you're not too fat, you're not really obese, but over the years it's just probably accumulated. If you're in your 30s, your 40s, you didn't have that body fat in your 20s or your late teens. It just accumulated over time slowly. And that's because your metabolism slowed down, but also because you probably here and there ate a bit in a surplus without realizing over the years. Normal. Maybe you're more sedentary too. All of these factors contribute to this. Now, basically what a reset phase is it takes your calories and puts them just a little bit under your maintenance. So we'll call that the R for reset. Now a cut, like bulking and cutting, which you may have heard about, kind of takes your calories down here. So we'll call that a C. Now the problem with this is that's a huge deficit, okay? Which means you're eating a lot less than your body needs, which you may think will equal faster fat loss, and it certainly does, but it also means faster weight loss. And the difference between them is weight loss is when you lose weight, which can mean muscle. Fat loss is purely fat. In the reset phase, you just lose fat because you're not eating so much less that you're at risk of losing your muscle, right? Plus, you don't get super hungry and starving and start craving and then rebound and eat loads of shit again because, again, you're not being too extreme. So, is this slower? Maybe. Is it sustainable? Yes. Will you look better at the end of it? Yes. Will you feel better? Yes. And guess what? Because you're not cutting your calories too hard, you can also build some muscle, especially if you're still quite new to the gym. So a year or two in, you can absolutely build some muscle, even though you're eating a little bit under what you need, okay? Because your body adapts very quickly to that stimulus. And that's exactly what happened with Rob. So we started with a reset phase. And what happened is you can quite clearly see Rob has built some muscle. In fact, the weight that he lost, it wasn't as much as we expected because guess what? His fat came down, but his muscle went up, which means the net weight difference wasn't that much. He essentially replaced the fat weight with muscle weight. Okay? So this is what's called a recomposition effect in the fitness world. You gain muscle and you lose fat at the same time. It's the best thing that can possibly happen with your body. It's what we managed here, and it's possible because of the system that we use. Now let me make one thing clear. There is nothing special about this. There's nothing fancy. I've just shown you how it works. I'm not hiding a secret from you. It's just the basics, but done well. I've developed a system where the basics can be executed very sustainably. That's why this works. I'm not fucking coming up with some secret and hiding it from you on social media like everyone else. Like, oh, my secret system. Like, there's no secret. Here's how it works. You can go off and do it. Okay? So this is all something that we would call kind of your energy balance. So this is to do with calories. So I'll put calories. So I'm using my mouse. It's a bit messy for that reason. So this is what is going on with your calories. And you need to understand that calories are 80% of what happens to your body. So that's why I mentioned it first. Now you may be thinking, Sam, what about protein? Let me clear that up for you. So I can't remember exactly what weight Rob started at. Let's say just randomly 80 kilos. In pounds, I don't know what that is. 180, 85 maybe pounds, whatever, even if it isn't. You just eat that amount of protein. So protein is needed to help your body recover and repair muscle tissue, but also gain new muscle tissue. Again, think about building a house. The protein, that's the bricks. The calories are the builders. Okay, so the protein is quite literally what muscle is made of. So you need more of it to build more muscle and to repair the muscle that you have damaged in the gym. But the calories are the builders that put those bricks together. So you need to be in a slight calorie surplus in order to do that, unless you're new, which is why Rob built muscle in the reset phase, okay? Because there's an exception there. Now, here's the thing. Once you're done with this and you get down to sort of 10 to 12% body fat, okay, which Rob very much is at 10 to 12% body fat. The guy is diced right now. Then we would move to a build phase, and we haven't actually got to this stage yet because we took our time, because it has to be sustainable, okay? Because he probably wouldn't have got here if we weren't sustainable, because it would have been hell for him, okay? And he would have lost loads of muscle. His gym sessions would have sucked, okay? So what we're going to do is a build phase, okay? So this is not a cut, and this is not a bulk. So please get those terms out of your head. The build phase, obviously he's not as skinny as I was really like right at the start, but the build phase, the concept remains the same. what we're going to do is, in this same situation here where we had Rob at this level for the reset, is we're going to do the same thing but on this side of his maintenance. Okay, so if this is the surplus where people get fat, you can also think of this as a bulk. Okay, so quite a lot of extra food. The build is here. Okay, so just a little bit more food, just like the reset, just a little bit more. Okay, the reset's just a little bit less, the build's just a little bit more. Because guess what? Your body doesn't need that much extra food to build muscle. In fact, like I said, you can build muscle actually eating a little bit less than what you need if you're new to this. So it's not a must, but it definitely helps at a certain stage. And giving your body 100 to 250 extra calories above your maintenance, which is this, is going to be the energy, the builders that your body uses to build new muscle, to build the house. And the house is made of bricks, and the bricks are the protein, right? So that's what we're going to do, okay? Now, protein stays consistent through all phases. So 180 pounds, for example, if that's your body weight, you eat 180 grams of protein, no matter what. So if you're 180 pounds, 180 grams of protein, that's it. Doesn't change. I'd keep it steady throughout, even if you lose or gain weight, keep it at that amount. Simple as that. Don't worry about fats and carbs too much. Not so relevant until you get really, really lean or you're trying to get super shredded, because it's just not going to have much of an impact. But protein, yes, is actually what your muscles are made of. So you need to make sure that you're eating enough of it. Okay, but no more, no less. Keep it at that amount and it will serve you well. Okay, so that's all nutrition. Now, the reason I speak about that first is because it is the driver of everything. It really, really is. It's really important, okay? So let's talk about training now. So nutrition's 80% of this. But training-wise, we had to jig it up a little bit, okay? Because the thing is, Rob was doing HIIT classes. He was following an AI workout app that I think had him doing home workouts for like 4 days a week. And I'm just going to say something. If you want to do home workouts, that's fine. But it will not help you beyond a point, okay? Especially if you're looking for a physical transformation in your body. The reason for that is because you're very quickly going to hit a wall with the weights that you probably have available and the resistance you can add. So what I mean by that is, if you can do more than 20 push-ups, where's the limit? It just gets a bit silly if you're doing 100 push-ups to burn out, to hit failure, to grow muscle, to build strength. It's a bit stupid. You need weight at a certain point. That's why you should get to a gym, okay? So training-wise, we kept Rob on 4 days a week because he enjoyed going to the gym. So I thought, hey, that's fine, that's cool. So 4 days per week. And the split that we used was a mix of a push-pull legs / full body. I'm not going to get stuck in the weeds with exactly what that looked like, because I'm not going to lie to you, the training part is pretty fucking irrelevant. It doesn't actually matter that much. The main thing with your training is that you can be consistent with it and you are gaining strength every week. That is it. Okay? So whatever your program looks like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. As long as it's not stupid, and as long as you're hitting your muscle groups often enough over the week. So a split just means how you split up your body parts over a week of training. Ideally, you're hitting everything. Special focus on the guys that don't train legs, but you want to hit everything. And it's just how you split it up over the week. So ideally, you want to hit each muscle group, each part of your body, 2 or 3 times a week. However you do that, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The main thing, okay, so here are the main things that you need to do. Pick a split. I would recommend, if you really don't know, a push-pull legs, which needs to be at least 4 days a week, maybe 5, or a full body. You can get away with 3 to 4 times per week with that. Then you're going to progressively overload. What do I mean by that? Okay, so literally what I mean is more reps and or weights each week. So if you do 8 reps of a bicep curl one week, you do 10 the next, or you try to. Okay, and if you can do that consistently week after week, and then add more weight when you are doing too many reps, and then repeat, that's how you build strength and muscle. But guess what? This leads into the next thing. Stop changing your workouts. I can't spell now. Stop changing them. Okay? The problem with these AI apps that I mentioned is that they actually do give you different workouts almost weekly or every day. And that may be fun, but are you training for fun or are you trying to get a result? That's the question you have to ask yourself. I'm trying to think of a cool analogy to explain this, but again, essentially it's like, let's go back to the house analogy. If you're trying to build a house, it's kind of like going to the site and knocking down the bricks that you laid the previous day and building some more, and then going back the next day and knocking them down. That's what's happening when you're following random workouts, when you're just constantly switching up, okay? Whereas following a structured program that doesn't change unless it needs to, and it would only need to if you weren't enjoying it or you injured yourself or something like that, or you weren't progressing on a certain lift, you're going to build a house because you're going to go back to the building site and you're going to add more bricks each day. Each day you add more bricks, and guess what? You eventually build a house. So that's how you got to think about your workouts. People who transform their bodies are not doing different workouts all the time. And guess what else they're doing? They're tracking their data really, really fucking carefully. So this is what we did with Rob. Tracking workouts. And more specifically, lifts. Okay? So we know that Rob lifted X weight for X reps that week, and next week he can see it in front of him, and therefore he can improve on it and progressively overload, which is what I was talking about here. Because when you progressively overload, your body thinks, oh shit, I need to get stronger. I need to grow muscle because this is getting intense. You know, it's an evolutionary response. So it needs to be able to have that stimulus, and you need to provide it. Whereas if you keep doing random shit, your body's going to get nothing but stressed out and injured. So don't do it, okay? If you like training for fun and the mental benefit, by all means, do HIIT classes, do group classes, do all that crazy high rocks, do fucking spin classes. If you want to do it, that's cool. It's just not going to build your body, okay? If you want a physical transformation, it's not going to do it. So that's training. Now, here's what else you need to know. Data. And I know you're probably frowning when you see this, but I cannot emphasize how important this is. So what do I mean by data? Calories, macros, track them. You're going to download an app called MyFitnessPal, okay? You're going to figure out your calories for your reset phase, and how you're going to do that is I will just show you. You're going to go to caloriecalculator.net, okay? I'll put the link in the description. Put in your age. Let's just use these examples. You're going to click calculate, and here are some figures. Now for your reset phase, you're going to go ahead and pick the mild weight loss initially, because again, it goes back to what I was saying here. We don't want to pick this figure. This is way too much of a jump or a loss in the amount of food you're eating. You're going to start yo-yo dieting because this is going to make you too hungry. So you don't want to go for extreme weight loss, and probably not even weight loss to start with, okay? Because you may think, oh great, I can lose weight faster. Yeah, faster isn't better. You'll give up and hate your life. So what we need to do is start here and then really keep it there unless we need to move it down. So you're going to start with this figure. You're going to pop that into MyFitnessPal as your goal. You're going to eat the amount of protein that you weigh, and you're not going to worry about fats and carbs. Put them as whatever you want. It doesn't really fucking matter at this stage. And you're essentially going to track all your food every day until you're hitting those targets every day. Yes, that's it. Okay? Try and eat healthily. No, it's not make or break. You should eat healthily because it's good for you and it will feel better. So actually, maybe you should. You should do it. But guess what? The whole you have to eat healthy to lose fat is a myth too. So there you go. Another one busted. Next, you need to try and get some activity in. Okay, now I'd recommend, if you're not a cardio person, that's cool. I'd recommend starting with 10,000 steps a day. Do you need to do this? No, you do not. It just helps burn calories, so it may speed up your results and is a lot more enjoyable than just eating less food, at least for me. So try and get 10,000 steps, and as you start plateauing a little bit with fat loss, which will happen, you either drop your calories or you increase your steps, because both, it's the same thing. It's two sides of the same coin, okay, to start with. So 10K steps to start with, try and hit that every day. You may even want to start with 7,000 if you don't do any walking, that's cool too. Next thing you're going to do is, like I said, track your lifts. So in terms of weight and reps, don't need a comma there. Not as grammatical as I'd hoped. The next thing and final thing is you're going to, actually, sorry, not final. You need to track your overall progress. So don't weigh yourself weekly. Weigh daily and take a weekly average. The reason for that is because if you weigh yourself every week, you will have a fucking panic attack and you will give up, because your weight is the most random, unpredictable measure of basically nothing useful. Okay, so I can I weigh myself every day. I take an average too, because guess what happens? You take it daily, you take a weekly average, and then you compare the weekly averages. Okay, because that means that all the fluctuations in your weight are evened out and you can actually get a clear picture of what's going on with your body, because your weight will go up and down every day for so many reasons. If I have pasta tonight, I will wake up 3 pounds heavier. Is it fat? No, it's water weight. Okay, because it's very carby. But if you weigh yourself weekly and you happen to have pasta the night before and you think, fucking hell, I've gained all this weight, it's going to mess with your head. But that's not actually what's happened, and it's not accurate. So you need to weigh yourself daily and take a weekly average. All right. The next thing, and probably more important, is progress photos. So take them weekly. But here's the kicker. In the same conditions, in the same place, at the same time, in the same outfit. Same angle, same lighting. Consistent conditions. You need to think about this whole thing as a science experiment, because if you don't approach it with those consistent variables, you're going to start getting in your head, because you're going to see data that doesn't line up and you're going to look different in photos, and it's going to mess with you. Okay? Because this is as much about being sustainable and just sticking to the fucking plan as it is doing the plan day in and day out. You need to be sustainable with this. Okay? There's no secrets to this. It's just sustainability and something that works, i.e. the basics, right? The basics. Time, give it enough time. Consistency, which comes from sustainability. How sustainable is what you're doing? And that equals the results. So you're going to take progress photos in the same place, in the same conditions. Now, Rob, okay, this was his first week with me, so his photos were all in the gym afterwards in this exact position. So don't follow in Rob's footsteps there. But he, got it right for every other week, so it doesn't matter. And you can definitely see the difference. But I'm saying for you, take them in the same place. Just decide on a place with good lighting, same time of day, everything consistent, take them there. You will see the progress in your body much more accurately. People obsess over the weight. Who cares how much you weigh? Who cares? Right? I've taken my body, my body looks so different to the way that it did 2 years ago. And I'm much happier with it. I'm way more muscular, way leaner. But guess what? I actually weigh less. Right? Even though I have more muscle. How's that possible? Because your weight means fucking nothing. So stop paying too much attention to it. Look at photos, because ultimately it's how you want to look. You don't care. Like, no one says to you, hey, Sam, how much do you weigh? Who does that? Do you take a photo of yourself on holiday, on vacation, and your weight is stamped on your chest? No. It's about how your body looks. That's probably what you want anyway. So that needs to be your main measure of progress, and how you feel. Okay? So I know that we've covered a lot, but it's really, really simple, guys. There's a lot of bullshit on social media that is overwhelming you. All you need to do is the basics, which are these. Do yourself a reset phase, okay, by dropping your calories down and following this advice. Track all your food, eat enough protein, get a good program. You can find one anywhere online. It doesn't need to be complicated. Don't change things. Keep pushing with it every week. Add more weight and reps. Don't change the lifts. Do 10,000 steps a day. Also get enough sleep. I didn't mention that. Track everything, both food and your weights. Weigh yourself every day. Take a weekly average and take photos in the same place every single week. And that is fucking it. The rest is time. So I appreciate that was a lot of information, but hopefully that was a good enough summary. And here's the truth, guys. If you actually want help doing this, you can click the link in my description below. You can click the link in the description below. You can talk to me or one of the team, and we will map out how we can do this together. Like I said, you can do this yourself, and I hope you do. But if you know that you're going to have trouble implementing it, or it's overwhelming to you still, or you're worried that you're going to fall off, or life will get in the way, or whatever may happen, then we can help you do it, okay? But I've got nothing to hide from you. This is the secret, the basics, over a good period of time. Consistent and sustainable. That's all there is, okay? So it's not complicated, but if you do want help doing it and implementing it, you know where to click. Okay, you can talk to us and we'll map it out completely for you, personalize it to you, because everything we do is personalized, and we will guide you through it and support you and hold you accountable throughout so that you actually do see it through and get a result like this. So link is in the description. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want more no BS advice. I'll see you in the next one.